Hey friendos, it's DW. Happy New Year! You can see I've got a whole brand new magical setup here for my studio. It's pretty low budget right now because I am taking it all apart for a big basement renovation we're getting done. So I should have a new space set up in the springtime sometime, but in the meantime, my office has been completely dismantled, and this is kind of the best thing I've got so far, and it's going to change periodically. But the updates must continue, and so must the game. And so this is your devlog update. So for starters, let's start with what you're seeing on screen. You're seeing the title, but one difference you should see is this 1.00x11 sort of thing. So this is actually running on my Linux-based laptop, specifically Pop! OS, so it's a Debian-based Linux. This is something I want to highlight because moving forward, I'm going to be supporting Linux and Windows for sure, but the two of them, not the web-based version like I originally did. A lot of reasons for it regarding mono and some of the issues I hit with it, but it was also a nice to have. So to simplify my development cycles, I've decided to focus just on Linux and Windows, starting with Windows first, but also making sure Linux compatibility stays going forward because I want to support things like Steam OS, Ubuntu, and Debian-based stuff. Hopefully we'll get into Manjaro territory later, but for now, that's where we're going to go. Now let's start the game. So nothing crazy has happened in the game since you've last seen it, but you can see here I have my little dialog window. And what's important about this is that you can see a little image popped up saying, hey, a little picture showed up. What's cool about that is the path to this image, like what media should be displayed, was defined inside of the Ink Engine script, which is great. So my design hat or my designer can focus on what should be displayed, and I can kind of write all that inside of a dialogue engine or my, other kind of state engine, while the game logic engine, which is Godot, interprets that content and figures out what to do with it. So this is the first real big decoupling I've had outside of just showing text and choices. And this is a big deal because not only can I show images, it could be videos, it could be whole other mini game sequences, anything I want. So there's a lot of opportunity in that integration that I've created, and it's the biggest update visually that you're going to see. The other thing that's been consuming a lot of my time has been the design, and I've gotten really stuck. So if I leave the apartment, you can see I go to my commute scene, and then I go to my work scene. This is just placeholder stuff. I may have showed this earlier, but I've been stuck on this for a long time, thinking the work had to be a bit bigger, and I kept on trying to boil it down. And after some nice reflection with some trusted confidants and stuff like that, I actually found a better answer, and I have a path forward. So in January, you should see some real gameplay come out, and I do want that released version out by the end of January. So there should be some self-care quests and different things, but it's simplified the design by having these three scenes kind of work together, and they will each kind of have their own little piece of gameplay. More about that later once it starts to solidify. The last update I want to show you is something that is happening behind the scenes. So let's take a look at that. So what you're looking at here is the integrated development environment, or the Godot development environment. This is where the log is being displayed, that's being generated while I'm running the game here. You can see here, I can't zoom in just yet. If you see here, I have this thing that says success, you've logged into Playfab. Playfab is an analytics engine that Microsoft bought from Playfab. They bought them or acquired them and have been integrating them over the last year or two into Microsoft Azure, which is my cloud provider of choice. Now, adding game analytics is important, even for a small scale game like me. And the reason I have it in there isn't to start tracking people and create accounts and all this kind of stuff. It's really about figuring out how people are playing my game, how long are they playing it for, where are they getting stuck, what the kind of behaviors I'm seeing in the game. Because as a new game dev, I'm not going to have a lot of people playing it up front as I build this thing up. But the people that do play, I want to get as much information from them as I can to make the game better. Even if they don't have the time or the cycles to find me directly, even if they just download it anecdotally, they don't know who I am, they just kind of play it. I'd love to learn from that session, and Playfab is going to allow me to do that. So more about that later, but this is really a big piece, and it was also a big deciding factor to remove the web-based version. Just the way the integration worked with Mono and C# and WebAssembly and all this other jazz that I'm not going to get into the details of, but it ended up kind of forcing me to kind of make some choices and realizing, you know, I don't really need a web version. I should really focus on getting stuff out on Windows first, Linux second, and go from there. And that's going to call it for this devlog. So things are still moving along. I know it's been a while since I've done an update, but things are still moving along. Appreciate your patience. Thank you so kindly for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have yourself a pleasant day and or evening, and take care.